This is a video response to a question that is being asked on the video that we've got uploaded on Demons Daily. The video is called Illness of the Demon, and this person is asking in relation to their experience that at night they are having visits by a shadow person, something that they experience as a shadow since they've been very young, and then the shadow will come over them when they are in their room or while they're sleeping. And obviously this experience terrifies them quite extensively, to the point where they experience themselves being paralyzed, and nobody's ever been able to assist them. So the reason why nobody's been ever able to actually give you effective support to the point of allocating the core reason why this entity creation is coming to you at night is because most people you will find on these ghost or spirituality type websites is that they're trying to identify with the entity as a demon or a deceased being, as a separate being from you, that is somebody that, for example, lived before and now the being has died, and now the being is a demon visiting people at night and has somehow now attached itself to you and is haunting you. Now this is how it was in the past. Again, we suggest to you to please watch the interviews and the documentation that we are busy placing on our new website, www.demonology.co.za. We are placing all the research from the past in relation to the self-forgiveness process that was walked with the dimensions through the interdimensional portal, where they assisted and walked with the demons to assist them to release themselves of their experience. This process took a few years, and it was an extensive day and night application. Various beings were involved. This application happened in quantum time, and I will be placing all the documentation and videos related to this point that explains this point. I will be placing it on the Demonology website for you to have a point of reference with regards to what happened with the demons. So the videos that we've placed there on the mind demon is basically what people are dealing with now with regards to entities and possession experiences that are coming up now, and we'll be placing world events with our perspectives on how the mind demon is now basically, you can see it in the world, in the news, in the media, and people's experiences on the internet, and how this is being created by each person through the mind, through the resonances. So in your case, for example, I'm going to share with you an experience that I had a while ago with regards to a shadowy entity that would come to me at night. I was in a relationship probably, let's say, about 2 years ago, and the person who I was in a relationship with had severe depression, and he was having thoughts of suicide, and he was having difficulty with coping with his life and taking self-responsibility. And what was happening was that on a subconscious, and obviously there were aspects within the unconscious that was also there in relation to my pre-programmed design, what I'd already accepted and allowed, you could say my life design as I had accepted it in relation to my experience with my father who had chronic depression. So I was basically playing out the relationship design of being in a relationship with men who had chronic depression and experiences of mental instability and, difficulty coping with life. I had then walked through that myself. After I experienced that in my father, I then also started experiencing chronic depression from the age of about 19, and the experience of mental instability. When I say that, I'm referring to feeling as if you are going mad, voices in the head, thoughts of suicide, as if your mind is not able to cope with life and you can't work, the mind kind of shuts down. So I went into an extreme experience of depression and inability to cope with my reality. This was up until about, let's say, about 5 years ago. And then I worked extensively with the point of, and the tools of writing, self-honesty, introspection, taking every single point apart of how I'd gotten to that mind manifested experience of myself, to write about it, do self-forgiveness, look at where does it come from. It came from, in my experience, it came from father. I was taking on my father's experience of himself. So just to give you some feedback on how I walked through that point. So now here I am, I'm applying the tools and I'm walking through it myself, but I'd still gone into a relationship based on seeking somebody similar to my father. So now I'm in a relationship with this guy, and he is in chronic depression. I can see every day that he is in his mind, meaning he is churning the same thoughts over and over of, I can't do this, I can't take responsibility, I can't live my life, there's nothing for me here, maybe I should kill myself. So what was happening is that between the two of us, within our relationship, we were creating an entity, meaning I was worried and concerned about what was happening to him, and this was mostly happening, obviously on a conscious level. I was concerned about him, but I was suppressing it instead of being open and communicating with him about it, about my fears and my concerns, and worrying that what if he dies, what if he kills himself, what will happen to me. So instead of me expressing this and having any way of dealing with it, or even using my tools of writing, because I was already in it, I was in the relationship, so I could not face the fact that this is what is really going on within my relationship. So I did not at that time write about it. I just in a way accepted it for what it is. So what was happening is, energetically, through my thoughts, feelings and emotions that I was suppressing, I was creating a resonance. So I was creating a resonant entity in relation to this experience of myself. And this entity, as the energy that I was generating on a subconscious level, in relation to my thoughts and fears and the suppressed emotions and feelings that I was going through, which was also tied in, as I mentioned, with my own pre-programmed design, and all of this was generating a resonance based on a symbology of myself and of my relationship that I was busy accepting and allowing within myself. And this was now creating an external entity, a resonant entity. And one night I remember waking up and looking up and seeing this black dark shape. I could actually, as I was waking up, it's because I was feeling like this presence in the room, and as I woke up and I looked, and the whole room was like buzzing. And then I became aware that this, as the room was pulsing and buzzing, out of the darkness in front of me, this mass started forming. So then this mass was right on top of me, above my face, lying on top of me, and this, I asked it, what are you? And he said, he was like talking to me, and I could, looking back now, I was able to communicate with this entity thing. And he was saying to me, I'm this guy's demon. So I'm not going to mention his name, but he basically said to me, I am your boyfriend's demon. And then he just he was just staring at me. And then this thing reached in, it had this hand appeared, and it reached into my chest and started squeezing my heart, which was symbolically what was busy within the resonances playing out. I was heart sore, and I was not dealing with this, so the experience of myself, which was busy creating a resonant experience, was actually, it was fascinating because it was now external to me, and it was mirroring to me what was actually my experience. So this thing reached into my chest, started squeezing my heart, and then because I'd already worked with demons and entities, and I was aware of how to, in the moment, breathe and become aware of what was happening, so I stopped, and I said to this thing, stop, I'm here, I do not accept and allow this. In that moment I became aware that, okay, there's this point that I must now look at and take responsibility for, because here this thing is in my room, it is facing me, there is something going on that I need to work with. And then I stopped and I breathed, and within myself I made sure that my presence was here fully in the physical, breathing, looking, and I made the decision to stop. I breathed and I just said stop. And as I placed myself effectively back into my physical as the presence of myself, making the decision that I do not accept and allow this experience, this ball of energy in front of me, it dissipated, it stopped. However, that does not mean that the starting point of what created it was resolved. So there, I discussed it with the person here who works extensively with these points, and it was mentioned to me that this was due to my relationship with this person, my fear that something is going to happen to my partner, and this subconscious, unconscious fear that is running in my mind the whole time of what if something happens to him. And therefore I had to take on the point of, I then started looking at, what was my experience, what was going on, and actually facing, first of all, the point that I have this immense fear. And if in your case, for example, like this chap in the comments says that, this person says that it goes back to the age of 21, here I would suggest sitting down with a pen and paper. This I find is the most effective of like retracing your life, using pen and paper for this purpose, and looking at what happened at that time in your life. Did something major happen in your life at the age of 21, 20, 19, 18? If you sit down with pen and paper and you say to yourself, okay, I'm looking at this now, what happened in my world that is now causing me such immense anxiety and fear, that is manifesting it as an entity that is paralyzing me at night with fear? So then you might have a memory pop up of something that happened to you when you were 7 or when you were young. It doesn't have to necessarily be from the age of 21. This could be a major event that happened to you as a child, which you dealt with, and the fear and the interpretation of it and the self-value and the idea that you created around self based on that event could have built up through your life to the age of 21, where eventually it was compounding to this point of you creating an energetic entity around the point. So if you would like further assistance, or you would like to share your writing with us, or once you've done your writing know what to actually do with the writing, please join us on our forum on our demonology website. That's www.demonology.co.za. We have a forum on our website there, and please come and place your story there or ask further questions, and we will give further perspectives. Thank you very much.